Hey guys, in this week's tip, we're going to continue to take a look at the analysis menu within SMS Pro. The topic on tap for this week, one of my favorites, profit. So let's jump in. You can see we're in SMS Pro in a basic item cost view. We're going to go ahead and hit the analysis menu, and this week we're going to work on these margin analysis features right here in this second part. Let's go ahead and click on the margin analysis itself and bring that tool open. Now you'll notice it brings up a table here, and this table works in conjunction with the items in the browser. So if we were just to look at all the items in the browser, you can see as we scroll through, the data within the table changes. So now we're going to go down here and get an item with some data that I know we got that's pretty good, and let's take a look at what we have. So the data in our margin analysis tool here is fairly straightforward, but let's just run through it because there are a couple little quirks to it. So the first line of data here corresponds to the item that we're looking at in our browser here. The cost, $14.95, is associated with the same exact unit cost that is in our cost table for the item. This is the vendor ID right here, B673. You can see that matches up right down here in our cost table as well with the vendor ID. And this date right here, well, that's the date of the current cost in the system. And you can see 7/11/2007 is the same date that matches the cost table file for this particular item. So we know what our cost is. Now let's figure out how much money we're making. And that's really what the meat of this tool is. It helps us go through the various price components that we have on this item and then shows us the margin at each price level. So we can see that at a regular price of $20, when we sell one of these items with a cost of $14.95, our margin is 25.2%. It shows us right here in the table. And you know what? That matches up exactly with what's in the price table, less the decimal point, of course. But the real beauty of this margin analysis tool is that we can see the effect on margin for all the pricing actions that were taken on this particular item, or group items if we have that open in the browser. So let's examine this just a tad bit further. So my pricing logic probably isn't the best in the world here, but I wanted to show you some examples of what we can do. We've got a regular price. We've already went through that. We understand it, and we can see that right here. But look what happens right here. We've got a package price, a limited quantity price, and a sale price. And I'm also able to display on one screen what the margin is at each of those various price levels. So to give you an example, let's look at our package price. It is saying that at $34.99 we can buy two of these particular items. The margin under that price action is 14.5%. This variance out here, well, it's a little tricky, so follow along here for just a second. Okay, so this number out here, this variance percentage, it is not measuring the difference between the two margin levels here, as you might expect through a quick glance. What it is measuring is the difference between the pricing levels. So it compares the package price, the limited quantity price, the sale price in our case, to regular price. Now I'm going to take you back to 6th or 7th grade math when you were looking out the window just daydreaming away, and you probably forgot this. But it's kind of important just so you can relate what you're actually seeing here on the screen. So as an example, and to show how we depict this variance percentage out here, let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to look at our package price versus our regular price. Now the way the math works out is pretty simple. You just got to remember to use some parentheses and all that nonsense that we learned way back when. The way it works is it's $20 times 2, because we've got a package quantity for 2 items here, and you have to subtract that from the $34.99. That gets you like $5 or something like that. Then what happens is, to get this percent, you divide it by the original $20 times quantity 2, or 40, and that gives you 12.525%, or 13% when we round it up. That's how this math works. Same thing is true for limited quantity price or sale price. Just subtract regular price from, say, sale price, get the difference, then divide that by sale price, and you'll see that the variance between the price levels should be right around 10%. Okay, so this is a pretty cool little tool. One last thing before we move to the next step in this week's tip is, let me show you what happens when we have multiple vendors with multiple costs. We've got the same tool open, margin analysis, right here. And on this particular item, we're looking at our current vendor, which is B673 Molson O'Keefe. Let's say I scroll up to my second vendor, Stroh's Brewery, B669. Look what happened over here. Everything updated right in front of your eyes. The cost updated, the vendor updated, when the price was active updated, and all the other computations updated as well. Again, a pretty cool tool so you can quickly see what's going on at the various price levels. Alrighty, let's keep moving. We're going to go ahead and hit the analysis menu, and we're going to look at the second option for this week's tip, margin for a date. Let's hit that and see what happens. So this view is kind of similar, but it's got some new stuff in it too, so let's take a quick look at it. The date field up here, pretty self-explanatory. We can go forward or backward and forward, and we got our little handy dandy calendar tool we can open up and pick a date that we want. I'll show you how that's used here in just a second. Then we've got these two columns. We've got new and we've got current. Well, what this is doing is it's comparing the differences in price or cost or margin or whatever it is that we're looking at here based on the current system date today versus the new stuff, which will be the future. It'll make more sense in a second when we go up here and use our tool. We've also got these fields at the bottom here that think they're really special. They're called important fields. So let's go through those real quick. So this scale field right here, what it is if we change this item from just a regular scanned every unit item to a weighable item or a variable weight item, you'll see this field update here. I've got an example for you here as soon as we go look at some things here. The indicator field, oh, that's if you change the status of an item. You know, if you go from, say, something like active to allowing back orders, or maybe it's a seasonal item and you want to make that change, and you make that for a future batch, well, you'll see that update here as well. The subdepartment, pretty self-explanatory. It's just telling you what subdepartment this item that we're looking at in our browser is in. Now, the real beauty of these little blue underlined fields over here, they're all just URLs. So if we were to hit price or we were to hit cost, those windows would open. To give you an example, let me go ahead and close the price field here, and then I'm just going to hit price field right here, and you can see it opens up for us. So I'm just going to expand it to get back where we were. Now let's run through this baby in a couple of examples so we can show you the real power. Okay, so we can see that our system date is set to 5.9, or at least that's what we have it set to here. And our new price column and our current price and cost and margin column, they're the same. Nothing has changed. So I'm going to go up here and hit my handy dandy calendar tool, and I'm going to take it to next Monday, the 13th. Now watch what happens. The system does some processing. We change the date to next Monday, the 13th, and we're seeing that we've got some future changes that are coming via the batch. We've also got the current system date pricing and costing and margin percentages right here as well for comparisons. So let's take a look at what we did. So first off, I did a future price change batch, and you can see that right here. Currently, on our system date, it's $20 for this item. Well, on Monday, the 13th of May, we're going to go ahead and raise that price to $21.49 for each item. We can see that our cost hasn't changed, but we can see that the impact on our margin obviously is going to go up. Our cost hasn't changed and we raised our price. That's a beautiful thing. Now let's look down here at this other one here. We're telling us right here that our source for this new change is a sale, a future sale batch, and we're comparing it still to what's going on in the system today, our regular pricing, which is right here at $20. So on our future sale batch, what we did is you can see I set the sale up at $16.99 for one item. The cost is the same, and we can see that here, and we can see the impact of that future sale batch on our margin. It's basically cutting it in half or so. You can also see down at the bottom, I made a change. Although it's not realistic, I went ahead and made this item weighable, so you can see that the difference is. We took it from a 0, which is what it was before, to a 1, which says now we got to weigh this item in order to get the price. I didn't mess with the indicator or the subdepartment, but you kind of get the idea. So it's a neat little tool to look at what's going to happen in the future, or maybe in the past if that's what you wanted to do, to compare dates. Pretty cool. Okay, let's keep on trucking. You guys are doing well today. So let's go ahead and hit the analysis menu, and we're going to look at the third item here in this week's tip, margin for all futures. We're going to click that and open up a new window. Let's see what we got. So what this tool shows us is the impact on our wallet of all those future batch changes. You know, future price updates or cost changes or maybe sale batches. Everything impacts our bottom line dollar. So this is what this table attempts to show us. We can see it starts off with our regular pricing update here, which we can see is $20 and $14.95. And I know this says markup out here, but just trust me on the math. That is your margin percentage. Maybe I'll see if I can get the guys to make that change for us. If Professor Jamie needs to go over the difference between margin and markup, I'll be happy to. Just let me know, shoot me an email, and we'll go through that. The bottom half of this tool shows us the impact of all those future changes. Now I made all mine behind the scenes, so let's just run through it. On next Monday, just like in the last example we did, we've got a future price change that's coming, or actually it was a future sale change. So we have that change here of $16.99, and you can see what the impact is on our margin. Again, this is not markup, this is margin out here, the 12%. Then what happens when that sale ends? It goes back to the regular price, which I did a future regular price update as well to take it to $21.49, and you can see the impact on our margin. Then way out in the 20th, we get a cost change here, and we can see that impact on our margin as well. So again, a neat little tool to quickly show you what's coming up and what's going on with your pricing and your costing and all that good stuff. Okay, we're in the home stretch. One more thing to look at, margin matrix. To get there, analysis menu, margin matrix. New tool opens up. I'm going to widen a little bit so we get a little bit better view. Now let's take a peek. Okay, so the basic purpose of this tool is to allow us to better utilize our target gross margin within the price table to help us set up various price levels. Let's take a look at what options we got. Let's go through the fields available to us first. First, we've got our subdepartment number right out here. You can see that matches the subdepartment out here. At least on item 123, we know it's in subdepartment 12, which is right over here, soft drinks. Our descriptor is just that. It's the description of the subdepartment. The count is the item count within the subdepartment. You can see we got multiple versions of the grocery subdepartment here, and that's because we've got multiple TGMs set up, and that's displayed right here. It says markup, but this is really the targeted gross margin for that particular item. We have 19 items in the grocery subdepartment that have a TGM of 25, and then we got 3 other items with a TGM set up of 0. Through this tool, we can not only manage our TGM for the various items within the subdepartment, but also package pricing and limited quantity pricing. Out here, we've got our targets in a multi-store environment. Maybe you have various stores or different regions that you want to target. And then we've also got the option for different price levels as well. On most of these, you can see we're dealing with price level 1, and we got this lone price level 5 guy right down here. Okay, so when we open this tool up, it defaulted to this particular view, which is subdepartments and the TGMs that we have for the subdepartments. Let's say for some reason we wanted to switch from subdepartments over to category. We can do that through the drop down here. We just hit category, and there, voila, right in front of your eyes, all the categories are shown and the various TGMs that are set up for those categories. Now let's hop back over here to subdepartment because it's a little bit easier to follow. Now let's say I only want to look at this particular item, the one that's highlighted over here in my browser. All I have to do is come over here and hit current, and you'll see just that item shows up over here. So only the one that's highlighted in the browser is showing up over here in this margin matrix tool. Alright, so let's take a look, since we're on this particular item, at what we got up here. We've got 3 variations of it, and we can see that we also have 3 different TGMs set up over here, and we've also got 2 different price levels. So we got two versions of it set up at price level 1, and then one set up at price level 5, which is our Super Saver. You can see there are 2 items here that are set up in the database under Super Saver, but they have no TGM or package price or limited quantity pricing set up. We've got 33 items under the soft drink subdepartment, where we have a TGM setup of 25, and likewise we have 3 additional items in the soft drink subdepartment that are set up with a TGM of 0. So that's what this table here is showing us. Okay, so let's go ahead and uncheck the current button and go back to our full subdepartment view, and let's take a look at some options that we have over here. Under our grocery subdepartment, we can see that we have 19 items that have set up with a targeted GM of 25%. We also have 3 additional at 0. Now, say we just want to work on these particular items in this grocery subdepartment here that are set up with a TGM of 25. All we have to do, simply click it. Now, in our browser, are items that are in subdepartment 1, grocery, that have a TGM set up for 25. So as I scroll through these various items, you should see we got a subdepartment 1 and a TGM of 25. Pretty cool tool that allows us to manage the TGMs all from one place. Okay, so let's take a look at an option of what we can use this tool for. Right now, our margin on this particular item, the one highlighted up here in our browser, is minus 23%. Well, why is that? Well, we're selling it at 58 cents and we're buying it at almost 72 cents. So that's how we get that negative margin. Now let's say we want to utilize TGM because we're obviously not using this one over here. We want to utilize TGM to manage our pricing within the subdepartment. Well, we can use margin matrix to do that. Right now, the margin is set up, the TGM at least is set up at 25% in the grocery item. I went ahead and combined all the items before. We had 2 groceries. I went ahead and combined them all. So let's go ahead and change this now to a margin, or a targeted gross margin at least, of 20. I'm going to type in 20, I'm going to hit enter, and now the targeted gross margin changes to 20. To apply that, I'm going to come right down here to the price table under the TGM. I'm going to double click. You can see 20 is now updated from what we did over here. I'm going to update our base cost. Remember, it was 58 cents before and we were losing some money. So I'm going to update our base cost based on this TGM that I input over here, and I'm going to say yes. And you can see our price changes right here in front of your eyes. And now when I apply this, I'm going to have to say yes again. And you can see our next price change is 89 cents when we scan this thing at the register, and our margin on that particular item now is going to be 20%. So that's a tool that we could use to apply to all the items within the grocery subdepartment in one quick and easy format where we can see the impact. The other cool feature, I can quickly make the change that we just did on this one item, and I can apply it to everything in the subdepartment, and it will base the new price off a 20% TGM, basing it off of whatever the cost of various items are. That's a neat little time saver and a good way to manage pricing using TGM and the margin matrix tool. Well, that's it for this week's tip. As I once heard a wise old man say, grocery stores tend to manage their business by pennies. Hopefully this week's tip has given you a few different ideas of ways you can manage your grocery store with just adding a few pennies here and there. Until next time, have a great day.